Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Battle video. In this video, we're going to preview the Beast Gohan, the Gamma 1 and Gamma 2, and the Krillin and Android 18, take a look at their animations, passives, etc. and discuss them a bit before they come out on DBZ Dokkan Battle Global for the 9th anniversary. So, we've got Gohan Beast, Superheroes, Bond of Master and Disciple or Miraculous Awakening category 170%, and then 30% for Entrusted Will of Movie Heroes. Pretty good coverage for obviously superheroes mainly. They pretty much have everything covered. Bond of Master and Disciple also. The 30% for Movie Heroes and Entrusted Will is decent coverage there. Gives you a little bit more access to some more units. And then Miraculous Awakening needed another lead, so this is more than fine. In terms of passive, activates the entrance animation upon a character's entry once only, and key +8, chance of performing a critical hit plus 40% and damage reduction of 40% for 5 turns from the character's entry turn. Key +3, attack and defense of 250% and guards all attacks. An additional 50% when attacking if end of key is 24, chance of critical hit plus 20%. An additional defense of 80% when receiving an attack, end of key is 24, reduces damage received by 20%. Additional key +1 per key sir obtained. An additional super attack and all allies key +3 within the same turn after receiving an attack. An additional attack and chance of performing a critical hit within the same turn, and key +1 with each attack received. Chance of performing a critical hit 20%, damage reduction 20%, and all allies key +2 starting from the character's next turn after the character attacks 5 or more turns in battle and receives an attack 8 or more times. So there's a lot going on here. So let's break it down. So for the first 5 turns, Gohan's going to have 40% crit and 40% flat damage reduction. This is pretty good, okay? Gohan's got key +3, attack and defense of 250, also a key of 8, has attack of 50% when attacking, and if key is 24, he'll get another 20% crit chance. So for the first 5 turns, that's 60% crit chance. If your key is 24, you have 11 plus key, so you should get there pretty easily. An additional defense of 80% when receiving an attack, this is fine. And if key is 24, damage reduction of 20%. So again, 60% damage reduction for those first 5 turns. You have easy access to key. Gives all allies key +3 within the same turn after receiving an attack. This is good. It just helps a lot of other allies who have key issues, most notably Ultimate Gohan. And then an additional attack and chance of performing a crit plus 20% in the same turn, and key +1 with each attack received. So what this means is Gohan can very easily get up to 100% crit rate by just taking 2 attacks very early on in the turn. After he has received 8 or more attacks or attacked 5 times, he will get another 20% crit, flat 20% damage reduction, and all allies key +2. This is huge, because what this means is then Gohan, when he has 24 key, after his 5 turns, will have 40% damage reduction and 40% baseline crit, gaining another 20% crit per hit that he takes, and will provide allies with 5 key once he's been hit once. So pretty big. It's a huge amount of key to offer the rest of the lineup. Guard plus 40% damage reduction plus defense of 80% on hit generally means that he's pretty good defensively and won't suffer too much. Guard plus damage reduction generally protects a unit for quite a long time, so that's immediately all good. Next, we have his active skill. Can be activated from the next attacking turn after he receives an attack. Key +24, defense of 158%, and directs enemy's attack towards a character, and all attacks become critical hits. So just a good skill. Very minimal active conditions. Key +24, so it guarantees him his damage reductions. Defense, just to help boost that abilities, and also now, of course, directing all attacks towards him. It's also a great way to very quickly activate your full passive. If you're fighting an enemy who's got lots of attacks and you want to just use the active skill, proc all the attacks and get yourself hit, fulfilling the passive, it's pretty good. In terms of links, all in the family, same war race and fighter, shocking speed, prepared for battle, fierce battle, legendary power. Like 90% certain that his best linking partner is Ultimate Gohan, physical Ultimate Gohan. And this is great. This is absolutely great news for Ultimate Gohan. and obviously for him, as they make a great pairing. Gohan, first slot, Ultimate Gohan, second slot. Yeah, so Ultimate Gohan shares with him All in the Family, huge. Same Warrior Race, huge. Infighter, huge. Shocking Speed, huge. Fierce Battle, yeah, so they're a perfect linking partner. Except for Kamehameha, this Gohan has prepared for battle. So pretty much absolutely perfect, which is great. And on tons of categories: superheroes, Bundle Master and Disciple, Miraculous Awakening, Entrusted Will, Movie Heroes, Hybrid Saiyans, Full Power, Gohan's Family, Siblings Bond, Goku's Family, Exploding Rage, Connected Hope, Battle of Fate, Bond the Parent and Child, and Earthbred Fighters. We then have unit super attacks. So Gohan has his 12 key, where he'll greatly raise attack and raise defense for 1 turn. It's fine. Stacking attack is great to keep him relevant. His 18 key, which will raise defense for 4 turns. This is great. When you combine it with his overall defensive abilities, just gives him extra power. And then we have the special super attack. This super attack has a very active requirement, so you need to have Piccolo attacking in the same turn. Greatly raises attack, raises defense for 4 turns, causes mega colossal damage, and raises allies' chance of performing a critical hit by 20% for 1 turn, and provides disable action. So this is actually a huge ability for him, and pretty much makes you want to kind of run him with Piccolo. Like you almost mandatorily have to run him with Piccolo. Well, not really, but you know what I mean. It's just very, very good, basically, to have one rotation with him and Piccolo, because it can just make a very, very potent, very strong lineup overall. So that's Gohan. I think everyone knows he's the best unit in the game by what the general consensus is. I think for me, based on what I'm seeing, I wouldn't necessarily argue with that. He definitely feels very good, very strong, and very, very, very impressive. So I'm very impressed with that. Then we have Gamma 1 and Gamma 2 exchange into Gamma 1. This is a bit of a long unit, so just bear with me. But the superheroes lead of 200%. Where these guys are really good is they are incredibly versatile. So they have a key plus 3, attack and defense of 125%. Additional key plus 3, attack and defense of 125% when HP is 30% or more. They are a support for superheroes, joint forces, or defenders of justice of 50%. This is fantastic. Okay. Chance of forming critical hit plus 30%, and then launch an additional super attack up to 2 additional super attacks within a turn per int key sphere obtained. So 30% crit, 2 guaranteed additionals based on int key spheres, chance of performing critical hit plus 12%, and launches an additional attack that's a great chance of coming super attack up to 2 additional attacks within a turn per AGL or strength key sphere obtained, additional attack and defense of 50%, and damage reduction received by 30% starting from the turn in which they perform their 3rd attack in battle. So 30% damage reduction, 50% support for 3 categories that can have 250% attack and defense, a 30% baseline crit chance, fire off 2 additional super attacks, and also, yeah, just basically be an absolute menace. Feels very, very good. And, you know, they don't have guard, but overall they have a great passive. And what you know, we'll look at the rest, but what this frees up for them a lot is when you have additionals and crit at such a decent rate in the passive, frees up a lot of options for you know, really versatile hidden potential system builds. Then we have their standby skill. This can be activated when HP is 70% or less, or after the character performs 3 or more attacks in battle. Very simple. I mean, like 1 turn they'll probably perform 3 attacks. Standby is for 4 turns, during which charge count increases by 1 per attack performed by allies. So this is pretty good. Android Assault, Red Ribbon Army, Shocking Speed, Hero of Justice, Signature Pose, Fierce Battle, Legendary Power. This is a link set. They're going to link up great with Gamma 1, Gamma 2, basically. It's not, it's I think they share perfect links, pretty much, barring Legendary Power. If you look at Gamma 1, like just for example, they share with Gamma 1, Android Assault, Red Ribbon Army, Shocking Speed, Hero of Justice, Signature Pose, and Fierce Battle. So they're just missing out Core Judgment with Gamma 1. Which, you know, when you've got Android Assault and Red Ribbon Army and Shocking Speed, you don't really need superheroes, androids, joint forces, movie heroes, artificial life forms, worthy rival, special pose, defenders of justice, accelerate battle, entrusted will, all out struggle, connected hope, final trump card, full power, and battle of fate. And they raise their attack and defense on their 12 key, and then on their 18 key, they greatly raise attack and defense. Now in their standby mode, this is where things get a little bit more interesting. So in the standby mode, Ki +6, attack and defense of 250%, damage reduction of 50%, plus an additional attack and defense of 50% when attacking. So it's basically their full baseline passive with no health restriction. Still a 50% support, flat 50% support the whole way through, which is really, really good. Crit chance per int key sphere and additional super attack per int key sphere obtained. That's great, same as before. Chance to perform a critical hit, same as before. So very much the same, just basically their full passive condensed into one. So instead of 30% damage reduction, 50% damage reduction, no health requirements on the passive, like everything functioning pretty much as needed, as required, which makes a lot of sense. Raises attack and defense on their 12 key, and greatly raises attack and defense whilst raising superclass allies defense by 50% for one turn. So very, very important there. Also, one thing to consider as well, is they don't have guard or anything. So they are still tanky, but they're not a mega tank or anything, but they do raise defense of allies for one turn, which is really good. Then they have their finish effect. Now the finish effect, based on the amount of orbs that you get, so raises attack by 1% temporarily per charge count, causes super ultimate damage and stuns the enemy for one turn, and will then exchange into Gamma 1. So this is the finish effect, obviously the sacrifice of Gamma 2. Once Gamma 1 has been brought back out, then you kind of get that split in the passive again. So Ki +3, attack and defense of 150%, damage reduction of 15%. An additional Ki +3, HP attack and defense of 150%, additional damage reduction of 15% when HP is 30% or more. Additional 50% attack when attacking. So we have like the HP split comes back to split the previous passive, but you have a little bit more attack and defense overall. Still 50% support the whole way through, and then we launch a additional super attack, guaranteed, changes AGL to int key spheres, chance of crit plus 20%, and additional damage reduction per int or strength key sphere obtained. So they split, so you get the split, but you then have the ability to earn yourself 50% more damage reduction. So in a way, a slightly more defensively orientated support overall after the sacrifice of Gamma 2, which is very interesting. Then we have greatly raised attack and defense for one turn, and then we obviously have the standard raise attack and defense for one turn, and then raising superclass allies defense for 2 turns. So definitely a very good, great support unit. So very strong, very good. The health requirement, not too much of a hindrance. 30% is quite low, and there's ways to work around it. Like as you saw in the first one, you can switch over to your standby skill. Once you're Gamma 1, you also have the ability to improve your damage reduction. So overall, a really, really good unit. And then we have the Krillin Android 18, which is obviously a banner unit that arrives with Gohan. 130% joined forces unit, Ki +2, attack and defense of 180%, medium chance of evading the enemy's attack, chance of performing a critical hit, and chance of evasion plus 30%, and superheroes category allies Ki +1 when there's another superhero category ally attacking the same turn. Additional attack and defense up to 30% with each attack evaded. Additional attack and defense of 180% within the same turn before the character receives an attack. Superheroes category allies 50% support, and for 2 turns when HP. For 2 turns when HP is 50% or more to start turn. So medium chance, 30% chance of evasion, another 30% when there's another superhero category ally in the turn. So 6% evasion overall with a 30% crit chance. They then have up attack with each attack evaded. They then have a little bit more attack and defense before they receive an attack, which is very interesting. And then they give superclass or superheroes category allies a 50% 2-turn support. So very interesting, kind of like a Yajirobe, I guess, in a way, like an improved Yajirobe, except without the healing. It's a 2-turn support. It's a very interesting unit that just provides a bit more cohesion to the superheroes team, whilst also being able to just kind of be played off rotation, which is really good. Cold Judgment, Experienced Fighters, Courage, Total School, Solid Support, Brainiacs, Fierce Fighters, Fierce Battle, Joined Forces, Battle of Wits, Movie Heroes, Battle of Fates, Bond the Parent and Child, Superheroes, and then they greatly raise attack and defense for 1 turn whilst lowering enemy attack and defense. So they're a cool unit, a nice little just cohesion unit. I wouldn't say they're anything spectacular. Overall, really cool stuff. We'll take a look now at the animations. So yeah, usually the animations in Dokkan are very highly dependent on the source material. A lot of the times you'll find that when the source material is really, really good, the animations tend to be really good as well. I find with Superhero, a lot of the times the animations are a bit of hit or miss because there's a lot of original animating going on because they're filling in gaps, especially with like Beast Gohan. And a lot of the times also they're traversing medium a little bit. You know, the like realistic, how can I say, the potential overflow of the animation style really needs to kind of like move throughout the two different kind of like animations that you get, because obviously the movie was very heavily CGI. Dokkan is entirely 2D, so they try to incorporate that style as best they can, and I think with these units they achieve it so well. I think both Gamma 1, Gamma 2, I think, yeah, not including like Krillin and Android 18, because the animations are decent, but I mean it's not anything super duper wild for me. But talking about like Gamma 1, Gamma 2, Gohan and Piccolo, I think they're really crazy. Like I think the animations are really good, especially Gamma 1. Gamma 1, Gamma 2. I think their finish move is like my favorite thing in the world. Like I love the finish move. I love the scene from the movie, just because I think it's really, really important, and it provides like the only emotional gravitas to the movie. But I think like for me, all things considered, I find like the way they animated that to just be so faithful to the movie, whilst also looking great in a 2D format. And I think that's something very impressive. Beast Gohan, look, there's a lot of original work happening here. There's a lot of good work happening here, but there's a lot of original work happening here. There's also a bit of reworking happening. You'll see a lot of scenes that I don't want to say steal, but they obviously reuse a little bit from the Beast Gohan active skill, which makes sense because Beast Gohan active skill is probably still one of the most beautiful abilities in the game. There's a lot of original animations happening here. These can sometimes feel a little bit janky, like you just saw that 12 key there. Wasn't anything crazy. Whereas there's some nice lighting effects, but nothing too out. Whereas the 18 key, this original 18 key is really cool. Stealing obviously some moments from the Super Saiyan 2 Gohan Bojack fight, but that's fine. This animation, really, really nice. And then obviously we have the Piccolo joint unit active skill as well. Just all in all, really good stuff. Like I think his animations are really cool. I personally, I think he looks great. I think they both look great. I think this really is, I don't want to say as good as it gets, but I think this really is an absolutely exceptional bit of work that the Dokkan team have done. And to have such interesting, not necessarily fully original animations, but to have something like this, which did not happen, I think is really awesome. So this was really cool. So yeah,